In 1963, I was 13 years old. I wanted to go to the March on Washington very badly. I even contemplated doing so against my parents' wishes, just taking off. So I was very much aware of the Civil Rights Movement, the march itself, and watched it on television. It was apparent to me that something was happening in the country. Of course, there had been a number of incidences throughout the country with Dr. King's leadership and others with him in the South. But one got the sense that we were in the midst of some very significant changes, or at least the challenges to change things. And I remember thinking about the issue, even at 13, the issue of poverty, racism, and at that time it was called militarism before it got really more associated with the Vietnam War, which came a little bit later. In 1963, to have that many people gather, it was the Facebook moment of that time. For people to organize and basically through word of mouth, through newsletters and memos through their civic organizations and all of that, really through what we call today social capital, just human networks, to gather that many people at that time was really an amazing, extraordinary event. And it all came about very peacefully, well organized, and you got the sense that you were watching the birth, if you will, of a new birth of our nation. I've met a number of people who were there, a number of people whose whole public life was shaped by that march, as it was the case for our former Senator Joe Lieberman. My predecessor, one of my predecessors as chaplain of Yale University, is William Sloane Coffin, and he often talked about how formative being involved in the civil rights movement was, going to not only to the march but also going down for voter registration during the summers and the campaigns that was organized around voter rights. So yes, it was. You have people here who were very much involved, and I think Connecticut can be proud of that history. But what was also important, I think important to Dr. King and others around him, was how do we raise the consciousness of the nation, not only about racism, but its economic impact and its connection with other social issues. It wasn't just black and white. That black and white, as described as a racial issue, was just symptomatic of deeper issues that Dr. King tried to address and be a symbol of, along with others who obviously supported him. I think it will take another 50 years from this day, from this year, 2013, before we'll realize the real significant impact of Dr. King's leadership and the depth of his insights as we struggle now with issues of immigration, our identity as a nation, religious complexities and pluralism. All these are issues that he was addressing in a very creative, nonviolent way. And we need to return to that discussion of how do we have progressive change in America without violence. We are still an experiment in democracy. We're still the greatest democratic nation in the world. But we're still practicing what that means, and we're still testing it. Immigration policy is testing our understanding and redefinition of democracy. The rights of men and women who are gay and lesbian, testing the limits in our conception of democracy, you see. And so our capacity to be pushed and somehow absorb the pressure of the push and to come out, hopefully, in a nonviolent, creative way with a better society for all people, I think is the hidden both mystery and the hidden genius of a democratic nation.